Happy New Year, everyone, and welcome to Farm Factor. I'm your host, Jamie Bloom. Today on this first show of 2019, Duane Toews visits with Lee Reeves, president of KLA, to talk about maintaining export markets in the cattle industry. Then enjoy this week's Kansas Soybean update. Next, Kyle Bauer visits with Randy Blach, CEO of Cattle Facts, about what to expect next year from the beef industry, both locally and global. Then it's this week's Kansas Farm Bureau update, and we'll end with Plain Talk featuring Kyle and Duane. Stay with us.
Closed captioning brought to you by Ag Promo Source. Together we grow. Learn more at agpromosource.com. This segment brought to you by Kansas Farm Bureau, the voice of agriculture. To join today or more information, go to kfb.org or find us on Facebook and Twitter.
Welcome to Farm Factor. Let's join Duane Toews as he talks with Lee Reeves about export markets and meeting global demand.
Duane Toews joining you once again here on Ag AM in Kansas, and an opportunity to catch up with Lee Reeves, president of the Kansas Livestock Association. And Lee, we think about the beef industry, do a tremendous job, producers across the country, right here in the Central Plains as well. But we produce more than we can consume in the U.S. Maintaining export markets extremely critical for the bottom line for cattle producers.
Well, and that's true. And we've been fortunate. We've been pretty well left alone with the tariffs, and we've been able to sell our product at a reasonable price around the world. But we have tremendous demand, and as we have more product, we need to maintain that demand.
Think about opportunities to do that. USTR, Greg Dowd, ambassador right here from Kansas, continues to work on opening up trade and reducing barriers to commerce around the world.
Well, and they're trying to undo a lot of tariffs that have been put on against us for decades or generations, and they can't do that overnight. But one of the very few things we have to work with is for us to put tariffs on other countries. We understand that, but we still have a perishable product, and it has to be sold every day because it'll back up pretty fast.
We think about the opportunities on the domestic side. We've got tremendous tonnage that's been produced, but we've maintained market levels that many said we couldn't do because of that consumer acceptance.
That's right, and we do have tremendous acceptance. Our checkoffs seem to be working, but we all have to remember that we're the best beef producers in the world, and people like our product and always have.
Thinking about those international markets, the middle meats are pretty easy to move here in the U.S., particularly during the holiday season. But some of those cuts we're not terribly fond of, but other countries, well, they utilize it to a great degree.
That's right. A lot of the offal products that we would call offal, they utilize like oxtails and products like that. And if we didn't have those markets to work in, then that would be an offal product. It would be sold at a discount, and it would bring the value, the cost of our product down.
We think about trade. A lot of times some of those phytosanitary and sanitary issues get used as political pawns to prevent us from moving beef into a country. That continues to be a concern as we look at working on trade agreements in the future.
That's right, but we try to be scientifically driven on this. So we try to bring science into this, and that's how we can combat those non-tariff issues like that.
Recently, coming off the Kansas Livestock Association convention in Wichita recently, and a great group of folks that came together with tremendous support from the local level.
That's right. This convention this year will have over 900 people, which will be larger than last year, and we're just thrilled, we have this kind of attendance.
As we look forward, Lee, in the beef industry right here in the Central Plains is such a vital part of the economy, but local issues such as taxation, property ownership, and rights, there's lots of those things that go through the Kansas legislature as well.
That's right, and we have those. There's always issues every year. But we have a good staff, and we fight the good fight every year, and we've done a pretty good job to this point. But we do have a lot of issues ahead of us.
Our thanks to Lee Reeves, president of Kansas Livestock Association, joining us on Ag AM in Kansas. Jamie, we'll send it back to you.
Thanks, Duane. Folks, come back after these messages for this week's Kansas Soybean Update.
Ag Promo Source is a unique group of marketing specialists with one mission: help your ag business grow. Each affiliate has their own area of expertise, and they work together to bring you advice, products, and services. To get started, visit agpromosource.com. Ag Promo Source. Together we grow.
Kim Mandarin with Hardy Insurance. I'm here to help you with all of your farm and ranch needs. When it comes to protecting your operation and your family, you need a name you can trust at a price you can afford. Call me today or visit hardyaviationins.com.
Valley Vet Supply is devoted to providing information and professional quality products at reasonable prices.
ValleyVet.com, ValleyVet.com, Valley Vet Supply.
This segment is brought to you by the Kansas Soybean Commission. The Soybean Checkoff. Progress powered by Kansas farmers.
Welcome back to Farm Factor and the Kansas Soybean Update.
This is the Kansas Soybean Update. It's brought to you by the Kansas Soybean Commission. The Soybean Checkoff, progress powered by Kansas farmers. Stu Duncan, K-State Extension Crops and Soil Specialist for Northeast Kansas, joins us. Stu, the month of January will be busy as you and your colleagues will be hosting 9 K-State soybean production schools across the state.
We are going to be busy. Those guys are too. And the 9 schools is about a threefold increase from what we have hosted in the past. That was at the request and the funding from the Kansas Soybean Commission, that as our acreage has moved west, and of course last year we had our first 100 bushel per acre contest winner. So we can grow soybeans in western Kansas pretty well too. And our acreage has shifted dramatically in the last 15 years. It's grown tremendously, and most of our acreage increase has been through the central Kansas corridor, but it's moving even further west now too.
Let's go over the dates. We're starting out, it looks like, on January the 15th in a couple locations.
With that many schools, we are shortening down our program. We're doing 2 a day and being a little more intense with less speakers. We're going to kick off down in Wichita on the 15th of January in the morning from 8:30 to 1, and then we'll be in Parsons beginning at 3 o'clock and run until about 7. And then the next day we move to Paola, Holton, and then the next week we're out in southwest Kansas and northwest Kansas and central Kansas.
The dates for those in western Kansas: January 24th in Hugoton and Scott City. The 25th will be in Hoxie and in Great Bend, and then on the 28th they will be in Beloit. No cost to attend the schools?
No, sir. What we really want to do is, since there is a meal at the Kansas Soybean Commission, those guys are providing that and sponsoring that. We really need to get a good count of participants. We just ask that they pre-register 1 week prior to the date of the conference that they're planning on attending. And there is online registration. Contact our local county extension office. They can get that contact information where they need to, at least the website, or if they're an e-update subscriber, they can get it from there.
Because it looks like if they want to attend multiple soybean schools that they're welcome to do that.
Yes, they absolutely are. The program is different as we go from, just as our Kansas growing conditions are different from one area to the next, and there will be some differences in what we talk about. We're going to cover diseases, of course, a little more in the eastern part of the state, simply because we have more of them there.
That is Stu Duncan, K-State Extension Crops and Soil Specialist for Northeast Kansas, who joins us on the Kansas Soybean Update. It's brought to you by the Kansas Soybean Commission. The Soybean Checkoff, progress powered by Kansas farmers. Learn more at kansassoybeans.org. For Kansas Soybeans, I'm Greg Akagi.
Hope you enjoyed this week's Kansas Soybean Update. Stay with us after the break for more as Kyle Bauer talks with Randy Blach.
What if sustainability were synonymous with U.S. soy? If energy efficiency, water quality, and soil health help define U.S. soy's value, that future is here, the time is now. To meet end-user demands, the Soybean Checkoff is committing to sustainability that's achievable, worthwhile, and enduring. A message from the Kansas Soybean Commission, the Soybean Checkoff. Progress powered by Kansas farmers.
All over the country, more and more communities are making the change to biodiesel made from U.S. soybean oil. And the decision continues, improving the health and welfare for millions of Americans while adding billions to our national economy.
Sure Crop Fertilizers was started by my father, Don Sherman, and my mother, Shirley Sherman. Family business that started in the 80s. We predominantly focus on plant nutrients and what we can do to give growers better responses with the fertilizer dollars that they do, and what we can do to make those things work better for that grower. We're based out of Seneca, Kansas. We work with growers in their soil analysis to figure out what they need, and then we can put those in a blend that gives them the best results, and so that we can deliver that direct to their farm so that they have those nutrients where they need them, when they need them, and so that they can apply them in a manner that's very efficient to them and works well on their planting systems and what they're doing. Sure Crop Fertilizers has been around for a long time. We always say we're big enough to take care of everything you need, but we're small enough to do it quickly. You can get a hold of us at 1-800-635-4743. Our website is surecropfertilizers.com, and you can always email me at corey@surecropfertilizers.com, and with any questions you have, and we're glad to answer and work with you.
This segment brought to you by Sure Crop, liquid crop nutrition delivered right to your farm.
We're back. Now we learn what to expect in the beef industry next year with Kyle Bauer and Randy Blach.
Hi, this is Kyle Bauer. I have the opportunity to visit with Randy Blach. He's CEO of CattleFax. And Randy, always look forward this time of year and looking at your analysis of the coming year in the cattle industry. Where are we this year?
Well, we've had a pretty good run here over the last few years, Kyle. We are continuing to see a little bit of expansion in the industry, but it's slowed down considerably. We only expect to see the nation's beef cow herd up about 200,000 head this year. So we've grown at about 3 million head from the low in 2014, and I would say the cycle is right on cue to peak in here in the next year or two.
Well, and we've been able to increase the demand for beef during that time. Certainly the price isn't high, but we haven't cratered with that kind of an increase.
No, beef demand has been phenomenal, not only domestically but globally. We've just hit on all cylinders as we've come through here. If you look at the growth in spending, the improved quality rate of the product that we're putting out today, we've seen a 15% improvement in the quality grade of Choice and Prime. And demand for Choice and Prime, even though that quantity has increased 50%, demand is making new highs. So it tells you the consumers wanted more of the good stuff, and the industry's done a wonderful job of supplying that.
And that Choice and Prime is a bit of a unique product that we have when it comes to worldwide exports.
It really is. The world wants good stuff too, and the U.S. has a unique niche in the global marketplace. We are one of the few high-quality fed beef producers for the global marketplace. Most of the other countries are supplying grass-fed beef. So our product that we produce today is, we had record beef exports in 2018 at about 3.2 billion pounds. Those exports added another $360 a head to the value of all the animals in our production system. So when you look at that from a value standpoint, exports generated 20% of the total value of a fed animal in 2018. That's unprecedented. That shows you how much the world economy means to global U.S. and global beef demand.
Certainly in Southeast Asia, we've seen some of the trade tariffs changed and are changing in the last half of 2018. Will that help us in 2019?
Well, I think we've got a few headwinds yet, that we've got to work through. The U.S. needs to, the Korean agreement has obviously been a big deal for the U.S. Korean exports or U.S. beef exports to Korea were record large in 2018, and they're going to continue to get more and more competitive going forward. So that's been a big deal for us, but the U.S. needs a trade agreement with Japan. And where we pulled out a TPP, the U.S. needs a bilateral to be able to stay competitive with Australia and some of the other suppliers of that market. So that's something we'll be watching pretty close as we go into 2019 to see if we can get that done. Obviously, the headwinds with China, that's been a roller coaster ride all year for really everybody, where you got the two major powerhouses around the globe that are kind of duking it out, so to speak, and that's one we hope we can get settled in here sooner as opposed to later.
And not to glaze over it, but because of the economy in the United States. Demand in the United States has been very strong and looks to be decent in 2019 as well.
Oh, demand's been phenomenal. I think if you go back and look at domestic demand, beef spending, just put this in perspective. Beef spending in the United States from 2000 to 2018 is up about $60 billion. If we hadn't had that growth in spending and growth in demand, fed cattle prices would be trading $20 a hundred lower than they are today. So, you're talking about $270 a head on fed cattle. You're talking about $50 a hundred on the value of calves. That's what this demand piece of the equation has really been worth for us. So, again, you can't. The importance of our global beef demand or our U.S. beef demand can't be understated. It's been phenomenal. U.S. consumers will consume more beef, pork, and poultry in 2019 than any year in history. So consumers want high quality protein, and the U.S. beef industry has done a wonderful job of supplying that.
We're visiting with Randy Blach. He's CEO of CattleFacts. This is Kyle Bauer reporting. Back to you, Jamie.
Thanks, Kyle. Come back after the break for this week's Kansas Farm Bureau update.
I had this horse. It was a good horse, except for when the wind was blowing above 30 miles an hour. Wind was blowing about 35, 40, and I saddled him up, rode him out to the end of the lane, and I thought, well, he's doing pretty good. And about 6 jumps later, I was laying on the ground and thinking, boy, my shoulder sure hurt. I kept waiting, and it didn't get better, and so I went to an orthopedic surgeon, and that showed that I had torn rotator cuff. And said, well, I have to do surgery. I farm and ranch by myself. This is not going to work out very well. I'd been sleeping in my recliner for about 2.5 years because it hurt too much to sleep in bed on my side. I'd heard about Kansas Regenerative Medicine Center on the radio. Gotten down there at 8 o'clock in the morning, and by 11:30 the procedure was all over. They just took some fat out of my side here and spun that down for about 45 minutes and then injected it in my shoulders, and I was on my way. It's something you don't hear about, but I thought it was worth a try, and I'm really pleased. It's really worked out well for me.
The Kansas Wheat Innovation Center in Manhattan is rediscovering ways to get improved varieties and new genetics in the hands of farmers faster. Grower-led and checkoff-funded research initiatives are bringing about positive change. This grassroots leadership provides a strong voice in Topeka and Washington, D.C. Now is the time to partner with Kansas Wheat in moving wheat forward. Kansas Wheat Commission and Kansas Association of Wheat Growers. Farmers investing in their future and yours. Log on to rediscoverwheat.org.
Next time you see a beautiful field of corn, reach out and thank the farmers who work tirelessly to raise corn for livestock feed, renewable fuels, and exports to feed a growing world population. The farmers on the Kansas Corn Commission work for Kansas Corn with grower-funded checkoff dollars that support foreign and domestic market development, research, promotion, and education to expand opportunities for Kansas farmers. To learn more, visit kscorn.com.
This segment brought to you by Kansas Farm Bureau, the voice of agriculture. To join today or more information, go to kfb.org or find us on Facebook and Twitter.
Welcome back to Farm Factor and the Kansas Farm Bureau update.
Tim and Catherine Franklin operate a 4th-generation farm in Sherman County. They began renting acreage from Tim's parents and have slowly taken over the entire operation as Tim's parents near retirement. The couple operates 4,500 acres of dry land and irrigated no-till that produce corn and wheat. Catherine and Tim served on the state YF&R committee, with Catherine leading the annual conference as committee chair. They continued their service to YF&R while on the American Farm Bureau YF&R committee. Tim has served on the Sherman County Farm Bureau board since 2011. Tim serves on the Acacia Fraternity Board of Directors at Kansas State University and was a member of the Kansas Agriculture and Rural Leadership class. Catherine is a member of the local PEO and currently serves as vice president. Both are also active in their church. The couple believes as issues continue to develop in the farm and ranch industry, it will be a challenge for them to address the concerns of customers. They believe Kansas Farm Bureau is uniquely positioned to help address issues through advocacy and education.
Stay with us. We'll be back after the break with Plain Talk.
Tarwater Farm and Home is a 40-year-old local family-owned business. Clothing for work and play, seeds and feeds, boots, toys for the kids, and tools you'll need for around the house and farm. And a service department to keep them in top running order. It's a big store, so take some time to see what they have for your farm and home. Tarwater's everyday pricing is like others' sale prices. When you need it, they've got it. Tarwater Farm and Home, 4107 North Topeka Boulevard.
KFRM is one of the largest farm radio stations in the nation, dedicated to informing and entertaining rural listeners from northern Oklahoma to southwestern Nebraska. You can catch KFRM in many ways. Of course, 550 on the AM dial, streaming at kfrm.com, or on your smartphone by going to the TuneIn Radio app, or on Ag AM in Kansas on Tuesdays and Facebook every day of the week. KFRM, tune us in. You'll be glad you did.
This segment brought to you by Kansas Corn. Learn more at kscorn.com.
Welcome back. Now let's see what Kyle and Duane are discussing today on Plain Talk.
Hi, this is Kyle Bauer with Plain Talk, with the man who realized the only reason his dog was bringing the ball back because he liked to watch him throw it, Duane Toews.
Have you ever wondered what a dog thinks?
Yeah, exactly. It's like guy likes throwing it, so I'll bring it back. So he gets so much
Look at
joy.
him. Look at him. If I bring this ball back, he'll throw it again.
And he gets all happy about it.
Yeah.
So he's just about making you happy.
Kind of wonder whether or not the dog or man is in control in that situation.
Well, the dog's in control. The second he doesn't bring it back,
game's over.
Game's over. I had many a dog like that.
It's amazing. We have two dogs in our house. They're both border collies. One is 3 years older than the other. And it appears that with age comes wisdom, because border collies love to run, but the older dog is starting to put on a little weight and getting smarter, and she'll run like a half a round, and the young one will run 2 rounds around the house. And then the old one just kind of fakes like she's going to go, and the young one takes off and doesn't realize the old dog's not chasing her until she gets all the way around the house again.
Now, do you think that, I'm just thinking about people here,
Yeah.
do you think that the older dog has gotten slower because he got heavier, or did he get heavier and then he's gotten slower?
He got slower. He got smarter and didn't have to run.
Yeah.
Then he got heavier.
You know, I'm really tickled about getting older.
Yeah.
I mean,
well, it beats not.
Well, yeah. It's like,
not
oh
getting
my
older.
Gosh,
Ain't
I
a lot
read
of fun.
the other day that oxygen was actually poisonous.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, it might take 75 to 100 years to kill you, but eventually
it's gonna get
it'll
it
get
done.
you. It'll get you.
Your fact or fiction question of the day, Kyle Bauer. Of all the national monuments in the United States, all of them are immovable. Fact or fiction?
Of all the national monuments, you would think there'd be one out there, like a train or something that would be a national monument that would be movable. I'll go with fiction.
It is fiction, and you were absolutely
Is it a train?
on the right track. It's the San Francisco cable car.
Oh, I've been on it.
Yeah?
I will tell you.
Is that something to do while you're there?
It's something to do.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, absolutely. If you're in San Francisco, you got to ride the cable car.
Well, when you're as out of shape as I am, you're going to ride the cable car because you're not going to walk up and down all them hills.
I will tell you, it's embarrassing. First of all, my wife is a walker. And so I have learned after all these years, I'm okay with it. But those hills are so steep.
Yeah.
You don't walk up them on a busy street because the shame is so bad.
When you're hunched over gasping for air.
Or you take 10 steps and then you take another picture.
Yeah.
You know, you have to turn.
Time for a selfie.
Time for another
I'm out of
picture.
breath.
And it's like, it's just embarrassing. You know, the first block, it's like, huh. And the thing is you look over there and it's like, well, it's not that steep. You know, you're down at Fisherman's Wharf. Motel's only 4 blocks that way. And it's like,
Took me an hour and a half to get there.
Oh, it's embarrassing how bad that is.
Why would they build on a terrain that was that abrupt?
Well,
because it was there and available?
I think it originally started when they had the gold rush and they had the bay.
Right.
And they didn't build up there. They just built. And then things got a little popular, and the only place left to build
was right
the
next
hill.
to the water, up the hill.
Thanks for joining us. I'm your host, Jamie Bloom, and I hope you enjoyed today's show. See you next week on Farm Factor.
Closed captioning brought to you by Ag Promo Source. Together we grow. Learn more at agpromosource.com.